The crystalline halls of the Velkari diplomatic station reflected light in wavelengths human eyes weren't designed to perceive. David stood before the council chamber, his worn leather jacket incongruous against the sterile magnificence of alien architecture. 3 years he'd spent as humanity's sole representative in this sector. 3 years of careful negotiations to bring Earth into the galactic concordance. Anna stood at the chamber's far end, her iridescent scales catching the ambient light like a prism made flesh. She was Velkari, one of the galaxy's oldest spacefaring species, her people having mastered faster-than-light travel when humanity's ancestors were still learning to chip stone. As ambassador regent of the 4th territorial sphere, she held the power to accept or reject humanity's petition for membership. The evaluation period is concluded. Anna's voice resonated through the chamber, translated by the neural implant behind David's ear. Your species has demonstrated adequate technological competency and diplomatic restraint. David allowed himself a small smile. Adequate, high praise from the Velkari. Anna's triple-jointed fingers moved across the holographic interface before her. There remains one final protocol, a cultural exchange requirement that all candidate species must fulfill. Something in her tone made David's instincts prickle. In 3 years, he'd learned to read the subtle shifts in her bioluminescent patterns. Right now, those patterns spelled discomfort. The Concordance recognizes that successful integration requires more than treaties and trade agreements, Anna continued. It requires genuine understanding between species. To that end, candidate species must demonstrate willingness to engage in intimate cultural exchange. The translation faltered slightly on the word intimate. I'm not sure I understand, David said carefully. Anna's scales darkened. Embarrassment, he'd learned. Your species' reproductive protocols are compatible with 17 member species of the Concordance. You are required to select a partner from among those species for a bonding period of no less than 1 standard cycle. This ensures genetic and cultural integration. David's stomach dropped. You're saying I have to choose someone to mate with? Yes. Anna's bioluminescence flickered rapidly. It is an ancient protocol, established long before my time. I have prepared a database of willing volunteers from compatible species. Many are quite eager. Humans are considered exotic, and your species' emotional capacity is highly valued. She pulled up a holographic display. Hundreds of profiles floated before him, beings of every conceivable morphology. The Selthari with their 4 arms and compound eyes, the aquatic Drenni, the crystalline thought singers of Proxima Vale. Each profile detailed biological compatibility, cultural background, and personal interests. You may take as much time as you require, Anna said. This is not a decision to be made lightly. David stared at the profiles, his mind racing. 3 years of careful diplomacy, and it came down to this. He thought of Earth, of the billions waiting to join the galactic community, of the technology, the knowledge, the future that hung in the balance. His eyes drifted from the holographic display to Anna herself. 3 years they'd worked together. 3 years of late-night strategy sessions, of sharing meals that were barely edible to his human palate, of learning to read each other's moods across the vast gulf of evolutionary history. She'd taught him the intricate dance of Velkari negotiation. He'd introduced her to the concept of humor, a notion her species found fascinatingly inefficient. Anna, he said slowly, are the Velkari on this list? Her bioluminescence stuttered completely dark for a moment, the Velkari equivalent of a sharp intake of breath. The Velkari are compatible with human biology, yes, but no Velkari has volunteered for this program. We are not a demonstrative species. But it's allowed, technically. Technically, yes, but then I choose you. The silence that followed was absolute. Anna's scales cycled through a dozen colors David had never seen before, patterns he couldn't begin to interpret. That is, you cannot. She struggled with words for the first time since he'd known her. I am the ambassador regent. I am your evaluator. This is highly irregular. Is it against the rules? No, but... Then why not? David took a step closer. You asked for genuine understanding between species. Who do I understand better than you? Who understands me better than you do? Anna's scales settled into a deep purple, confusion mixed with something else. You would choose me over species that are more similar to your own morphology, over the humanoid Selthari, the mammals of Kepler Prime. I would choose the person I've spent 3 years learning to understand. The person who stayed up 72 hours straight with me when the Mecron trade dispute nearly collapsed. The person who tried to eat pizza even though you told me your digestive chemistry makes tomatoes taste like sulfur. That was diplomatic courtesy. That was friendship, Anna, maybe more. Her bioluminescence shifted again, this time to a warm amber. Your species feels things so intensely, she said softly. We Velkari, we are cooler, more logical. I do not know if I can reciprocate what you seem to be offering. Then let's find out together. Isn't that what this whole protocol is supposed to be about? Understanding across difference. Anna was silent for a long moment. Her scales rippled with patterns David was beginning to recognize, the visual equivalent of thinking out loud. Finally, she spoke. There are complications you do not understand. Among my people, bonding, even temporary bonding, carries significant social weight. If I were to accept this, I would be expected to integrate you into my clan structure. My family would have opinions. I've negotiated with 17 different species to get humanity into the concordance, David said with a slight smile. I think I can handle meeting your family. Something in Anna's bioluminescence shifted, a warm, golden glow spreading from her core to the tips of her scales. It was beautiful, and David realized with a start that he'd never seen this pattern before. That is, amusement, Anna said quietly, and pleasure, and, I believe the human term would be affection. You have taught me that emotion, David. Perhaps I have been feeling it for some time without recognizing it. She deactivated the holographic display of profiles with a gesture. Very well, I accept your choice, though I must warn you, Velkari bonding rituals are complex. There are 7 ceremonial phases, each requiring precise biochemical synchronization. The preparation alone will take weeks. I've got time. And my family will require extensive documentation of your genetic lineage, your cultural practices, your... Anna, David interrupted gently. Are you trying to talk me out of this, or are you just nervous? Her scales flashed through a rapid sequence of colors before settling on that warm amber again. Both, perhaps. This is unprecedented. I have never considered bonding with anyone, let alone a member of another species. You have surprised me, David of Earth. Good, he said. You've surprised me plenty of times over the past 3 years. I figured it was my turn. Anna moved closer, her movements graceful despite her alien physiology. This close, David could see the microscopic patterns in her scales, the way light moved through her semi-translucent skin like fiber optics made of living tissue. There is a Velkari saying, she said. Translated, it means, the most profound connections form across the deepest divides. I had always thought it referred to political alliances. Perhaps I was thinking too narrowly. Maybe we both were. She extended one hand, 3 fingers and a thumb, each tipped with a retractable claw that was currently sheathed. David took it, feeling the cool, smooth texture of her scales against his warm human skin. The difference was stark, undeniable, and somehow that made it feel right. The council will need to be informed, Anna said. This will cause discussion. Let them discuss. We've got more important things to figure out, like whether I need to learn any special greeting for when I meet your family. Anna's bioluminescence rippled with that golden pattern again. You will need to learn approximately 47 distinct ceremonial postures, yes, and the proper way to share a meal. Our eating customs are quite different from yours, and the sleeping arrangements will require careful environmental controls, as our optimal temperatures differ by 30 degrees Celsius. And on it. Yes, we'll figure it out together. She was quiet for a moment, her scales cycling slowly through shades of amber and gold. Then, in a gesture he'd never seen her make before, she leaned forward until her forehead touched his, a deliberate bridging of the space between them. Yes, she said softly, together. Outside the chamber windows, the stars wheeled in their ancient courses, indifferent to the small miracle unfolding in their light. Two beings, separated by millions of years of evolution, choosing to bridge that distance with something the galaxy had forgotten could be revolutionary, genuine connection. David smiled. Somewhere on Earth, billions of humans were waiting to hear whether they'd been accepted into the concordance. They'd get their answer soon enough. But right now, in this moment, the only thing that mattered was the cool touch of Anna's scales against his skin and the warm golden light that pulsed beneath them, spelling out emotions neither of them had known they were capable of feeling. The final protocol, it turned out, was the beginning of something neither the concordance nor humanity had anticipated, and David wouldn't have chosen it any other way.